I'm delighted to be speaking with Debra Kneeshaw again from Design Thinking. Hello, Debra. Welcome back.
Hello, Robert. Thanks for having me.
Pleasure. So, thinking creatively, I think, is a topic we're going to discuss today. So, how can we, what do we do? You have some tips for us, I believe.
Okay. I think the first thing to realise is that the default mode, the default thinking mode of the brain is actually not that creative.
Okay.
So it is estimated that we have around 50,000 thoughts per day.
50,000, just let me hold that, 50,000 thoughts per day.
And around 90% of those are the same thoughts that we had yesterday.
Is that right?
That's right. And if you
How
don't,
depressing is that?
how depressing is it? And if you don't think it's true, I would invite you to spend a few moments just watching your breath going in and out and kind of see the junk mail that's being played in
your head.
mind.
Yes,
exactly.
okay.
Yes.
Wow, that's incredible. So you're saying right at the outset then that to think creatively we have to kind of shift from our normal behaviour.
Absolutely.
Come on then, how do we do that?
Well, just to give you another example as well, it's said that we have 11 items of clothing. If we had 11 items of clothing to put on in the morning, there would be over 39 million different ways to put that clothing on. And
We have hang on a minute. Whoa. If we have 11 items of clothing, there are 39 million ways to put those.
Different configurations. So, for example, you could have your socks on your ears, you could have your shoe on your head.
Pretty extreme then.
Pretty extreme.
Yeah.
And
I mean, I have wardrobe crises, but they're never that bad.
well, yes, I see that you're looking rather conventionally dressed this
okay.
morning, Robert. And what happens when we're children is that we are taught to put on our clothes in a particular order.
Yeah.
Every day, we do it repeatedly, and so the brain makes a pattern and then it sticks to that pattern.
Okay.
And
so this again, this is the pattern that we have to shift from.
Exactly. So the way the brain works in default mode is just to follow those patterns that we've done before.
Okay, so how do we shift?
Okay, so how do we shift? Well, one thing that we can do, probably the first thing we can do, is to become aware that we're doing it.
Okay.
So I think most people, when they hear that statistic, that 90% of the thoughts that we had today is denial. Everybody else but not me, perhaps.
Right.
And so I think the first thing to do is to check it out.
So firstly, acknowledge that yes, you do kind of think the same stuff every day.
Exactly.
All right. Point two.
Point two. Well, the next thing about the brain is that it is amazingly capable of being creative.
Right.
We have over 100 billion interconnected neurons in our brain, and so the capacity for creativity and do things differently is enormous.
Okay.
But the catch is we do have to make an effort.
Okay.
And if we don't make an effort, we will just kind of run on the same program.
So make an effort. How?
Make an effort. Again, the first thing I would recommend is becoming aware of it and doing that by just stilling yourself and watching the breath going in and out. So just be aware that all this madness is going on.
Okay.
And actually by doing that, by being very still and just watching the breath going in and out, even just for a minute, will almost sort of reset your brain. So it will get you out of that groove.
Get you out of that 90% of thoughts you had yesterday and allow some space for some new stuff to come in.
Yeah, and I think, you know, we all know that when your mind's just going round in a and round and round in a circle, you're boring yourself stupid.
That's familiar.
Yeah, exactly. But rather than trying to fight it, just relax, watch the breath for a few moments, and then go back and see if your mind's still doing that. Chances are it may well have stopped. So the first thing is to kind of try and reset your brain by something very, very simple.
Okay,
like
great.
that.
All right.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts? Any other tips for us?
Any other tips? If you want to be creative in general, it's very important to be doing lots of new, exciting things in your life. So exercising regularly, attending new classes, having new experiences.
Right.
So keeping the brain well and active.
Okay, so kind of do new stuff.
Do new stuff. And that's kind of on a general level. So if you want to be more creative generally, then make sure that you are tuning it your brain. It's a bit like, you know, if you're running a marathon, you don't just go out and run the marathon. You do plenty of exercise.
You run up hills and you cycle.
Exactly.
So do new stuff, but again, it's not necessarily exercise. It might be reading new things, listening to new things.
Learning a musical instrument is proven to be a very good way of keeping the
So
brain.
all of these things will jar us kind of out of this 90% of kind of same thinking as the day before.
Yeah, well, those sorts of things I would say are kind of like the background if you want to keep your brain. So if you say, okay,
if you want to keep your brain active
and well,
yeah,
good about keeping your brain as well. So if most people think, okay, I want to have a great idea now, they don't realise that, you know, it's not that easy.
Yes.
You have to keep your brain active, and the more you're able to do that, then the better you'll be able to have that great idea when you need to do it in the moment.
That's so true, isn't it? A lot of people think, well, I need a great idea, I need it now, in the next 5 minutes. It doesn't work like that, does it? But what you're saying, if we can kind of still ourselves slightly, be conscious of our kind of breathing, create a bit of empty space, then do stuff a little bit differently, do some exciting things, then we can allow that space. Yeah.
Yes, and what I'm saying is if you want to get out of the default mode of the brain, the first thing is to know that it's happening,
Yeah.
observe that it's happening,
Yeah.
then do something conscious. It may be watching your breath, it may be that you go to a different space,
Yeah.
it may that you just make a mental note to yourself, okay, I'm going out of that mode, I'm
Yes.
going into creative mode.
Okay.
And the doing the exercise and trying new things, what that's doing is that's setting your brain up
Yeah.
to be able to have ideas on demand.
Okay.
Okay, so it's, you don't go out to you and cycle around the block because you need to have an idea.
No.
Not
No.
that kind of exercise.
Yeah.
That's more of a general background to if you want to keep your brain
Okay.
well active. and
Terrific.
creative.
Debbie, thanks so much for joining us again. So if we want to find out more about you, designthinking.com.au is the place to go, I think.
That's correct.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.